have,
Well, we moved it to full business. We moved it away from the third reading to back.
okay, good for you. I'm not sure where we are. We'll get to that.
Low calorie today.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
All right. I'd like to call this December 4th meeting of the Utilities Commission to order at 8:31. Clerk can call the roll.
Mr. Sayers?
Here.
Mr. Ball?
Here.
Mr. Reinhardt?
Here.
Ms. Busenberg?
Here.
Mr. Gant?
All right, we have a quorum present. We'll move on to minutes approval from the November 6th meeting of the Utilities Commission. Commission members, you have those meeting minutes in front of you. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for acceptance.
Make a motion to accept the November 6th Utility Commission meetings.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the adjustment journal for November of 2025. Do we have an adjustment journal? We do not have an adjustment journal. Good work on the adjustment journal. Seeing as how there is no adjustment journal, we'll move on to new business, which is kind of old business. Mr. Hillier, would you like to approach the lectern there?
Thank you for having me, and for listening to me. I'm Mike Hillier. I'm going to read this for the record,
Yep.
even though we've talked. Mike Hillier, I live at 215 East Sugar Street. Been at that residence for over 25 years. Lived in the city of Mount Vernon for my whole married life of 42 years, so I know a little bit of what's going on. I have handed out my last bill that I believe Jessica's the only one that hasn't seen that with an explanation. That's the bill I just paid. That was for my house and for the rental at 217 that I'm talking about. As you can see on that bill, the rental used less in units than the house did, and I was charged double for the rental. And that's not an oddity, that is monthly. We purchased the house in 2005. After removing the tenants, we invested $40,000 and another 6 months of my labor. We returned the property back to a duplex. It was a triplex, and we tore off the one part because it was so full of termites it wouldn't stand alone. That house had termites to the attic. I would not be a landlord except for the fact it's 8 feet apart from my house. The duplex has one bedroom upstairs, no washer, has never had more than one tenant. Downstairs has 1 to 2 bedrooms. Currently, they're using, the guy that lives there that uses one bedroom. The guy before him uses a 1 bedroom. It does have a clothes washer. The upstairs, like I said, the tenant there's been there now has been there for 5 years. Somewhere, and I'm vague on dates. I think a landlord meeting or something, and we were talking about my rental property, how I hate rental properties, how I wouldn't own one if it wasn't next to me. And it come around to my water bill, or our water bill, whatever the deal was, I really don't remember. And he said, oh, you only have 1 meter, you need to tell the city. So I did. And there my bill started doubling. The current minimum, as you see, is $115.56 on the rental. In the meantime, I'm paying $60.78 on my house. With the proposed increase of 33% sewer, 21% water, my bill just went up 66% and 42%. 108% increase. Or a first year increase of 36%, and I think I'd lose tenants, so I raised the rent 18 to 36%, which I can't do anyways because they're on lease. Last time I was here, I was told to wait. First time I approached you was in March, and I come back a couple months later. You weren't ready yet. Aaron and I spoke one time, and I think before I come back in August, and says we're not ready yet. Now I think we're ready. You've completed your rate study. You've ordered 4,000 meters. You have determined the rate increase. Like I said, I'm not asking to be repaid. you figure 2025, I was double charged $600 to $700. Figure back how many years that is. It's never used over the minimum. I'm simply asked to be billed correctly going forward. I couldn't find an ordinance. I couldn't find anything in the Ohio Revised Code said you had to do it. I guess Aaron says there's some kind of rules. I know if you have the equipment in the office that tracks any kind of an increase, I don't know what else I can do, but I think I've been treated my wife and I have been treated very, very unfairly over the years. And I think now is the time to change it. I'll take any questions. Jessica, I didn't have a chance to stand there. Were you able to see the bill and realize what it is? And nobody? Nothing?
So,
I'm sorry.
so before this becomes just a free-form opinion room on the philosophy behind this, I want to give some background here. I think the reason that this is happening, and it's not just, I assure you, not happening just to you. There is no mechanism, I believe, for this commission to determine, well, there is and there isn't. We could set a rule requiring that each unit, so like for a duplex or a triplex or any sort of, rental unit, be individually metered. But then there would be no recourse for us to then follow through with that, if that makes sense. There is no rental property registry. How would we then go out and confirm that each of these houses are 2 or 3? Even you acknowledge that at one point this was a triplex. So we're not knocking on doors to see how many people are living in a home or what the unit is. So there, now I think the city is in a position to start looking at, now that we have a code enforcement department that works in tandem with engineering, that works in tandem with utilities. I think we're in a position to start that. But the process needs to be more fully formed. Sitting from where I sit, and this is not, any commentary on Mike Hillier at Sugar Street. This is just a agnostic view of the entirety of the city. If there is a unit that one household that's split into 2 units, there should be 2 meters, and those meters then all meters have a minimum bill. But you only have 1 meter. So I don't know how we could justify simultaneously, in my opinion, I don't know how we could justify giving you 2 bills on 1 meter. If that makes sense. But
Because all I'm asking for is no different than any one of your houses. Bill me for the amount of water that goes through that meter at that curb, through that pipe, into that basement.
well,
Just bill me for the amount of water, not that I have a duplex.
That is what is happening, because you are receiving the minimum charge and the usage, and that's what everybody in the city is receiving. Additionally, because we know that that is a duplex, you're receiving an additional minimum charge.
And the purpose of that is what?
Everybody in the city everybody in the city has a minimum charge plus usage. That is for the integrity of our utility.
My question is, why are you doubling it because it's a duplex?
Because for the same reason that everybody at, name a large scale apartment complex, they're all on individual meters as well.
That's correct, because they weren't built back in 1940.
Right. That doesn't make any difference.
So if I put, here's here's a good example. I'll answer some of the statements you just made. I can bring one person up here with a phone call who has the same situation I do, only worse. They have a duplex up and down, one person down, nobody upstairs, has been that way for years, pays the minimum of $115. All right?
Are they occupied?
One person downstairs, nobody upstairs.
Right.
1 meter going in the house, the same as mine, never used over the minimum. I feel like I'm being punished because I was honest. I'm being punished because I told you there's a duplex. How do you know there's a duplex? 2 gas meters, sometimes. You know, there are units around here I could go point out to you
Sure. Yep.
that are split off.
There are no building codes here. We're all aware of
That pay, you know, so
the benefits and drawbacks of
I
that.
feel because I'm being honest, you're charging me because I own a rental, I own a duplex. You're not charging me for the water I'm using. You're punishing me because I have a duplex with 1 meter. And let me finish what I was going to tell you. You're asked, if I put 2 meters in that basement and I send you a letter that says, Tanner, I just put 2 meters in the basement, I'm going to split it off. I'm not going to let you in the basement to tell. Well, short of a search warrant. So I could just lie to you. I mean, the only way this is going to get better is I get charged for the amount of water I'm using.
You are being charged for the amount of water that
And then I'm being punished because it's a duplex because you're doubling it.
No, that is not what's happening. You are being charged for 2 units, which you currently have 2 units. Is that correct?
Yeah,
All right.
that's the punishment piece.
That is not punishment. You have an enterprise. You are a business owner, essentially. You have 2 tenants that should be paying you rent, and you should have calculated that into that rent. The city of Mount Vernon charges a flat fee plus usage, and that's what's happening here.
And
What should happen is there should be another meter in that house, basically for the tenant's right too. Because, for instance, you could have, and I don't know the interior, you've kind of laid that out in this document here, but the interior of that house could have one elderly person that barely uses any water, and it could have, you know, the old lady in the shoe that lives in the house with 15 kids. Are they using the same amount of water? No, they're not.
you know how you can tell that?
With 2 separate meters.
You know how else you can tell that? Is the same way you can tell how much water. You can go over there in your office right now and see the usage today.
Per
For
sink?
For 215 and 217, correct? The city of Mount Vernon just rezoned a large chunk of Mount Vernon to duplexes, R2. Sugar Street, what we had as individual homes is now R2. So any slumlord can come down Sugar Street, take a single family home, and make it a duplex.
Right.
Do you think they're going to come to you, Tanner, and say, I just took 10 houses on Sugar Street, made them a duplex? No.
Correct.
Do you know why? Because they're going to be charged double.
Yeah. Which is why the city has looked into, over the last year, a rental property registry to protect not only the rights of landlords, but also the rights of tenants.
And being on council for as many years as I was, and when we had a landlord meeting every month, they got out of it because landlords don't want to tell everybody everything. And they're not going to tell you any more about their water than they are now.
Did you, in your time on city council, create a code enforcement department?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
What was Greg B. Miller's job?
He was property maintenance enforcement. That was one division of a code enforcement.
And somewhere along there it switched to, I'm not arguing this.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm beating my head against the wall, but can I ask every one of you, how would you like 110% water increase?
That's also not what's happening.
But it's also the other
You're
thing is
merging
too,
those
when
two
you
numbers
tell everybody
together.
the water rates, the sewer rates going up 33%, it actually goes up more than that. Right?
Go ahead.
Well, no, it does, because the first year you raise it 11%.
Right.
So you take 11% times $60, the water bill, or whatever you're times in that. The following year, you're taking 11% back to whatever that $60 was plus 11%. So you're not taking it back to 11% over the
$60.
$60. So the actual increase is about another additional $4
It's
on the
not
minimum bill.
$60, it's the wastewater rate.
Whatever, you know what I'm saying.
All right.
Break it down.
Well, I think it's
Anyways,
important to distinguish that because you're on the record and people are thinking that it's 11% on $60.
I've offered you all the information I can. I hope we can resolve this today. I'm not doing this. You know, I can walk out of here today. I got 2 people want to buy it. They're both slumlords. And I think you've got to start thinking about this. 54% of the city of Mount Vernon's rental properties. Give or take. You know, you're allowed 3% either way. 54% of the city of Mount Vernon's rental properties. You're not going to catch them all. You're going to punish the few. Anybody else? John?
Where'd you get the statistic on the 54%?
You can go to census, 20, whatever the last one was.
Right.
I don't care if you take it at 40 or 50%. A large chunk of the city of Mount Vernon's rental properties, and we're adding more.
So when you use that 54% number, are you accounting for like your duplex and also for, you know, and if you don't mind my asking, what do you charge in rent?
I'm not going to give you that information.
don't
What's
have
your
to.
house payment?
I would happily tell you. But if
It's
you,
not smart.
okay, if you take that information.
I will tell you this. If I told any landlord, which I have, what I charge, it's a lot lower than most because it's next to me. I can control who goes in there, and I don't like people moving in and out every year.
Well, Mr. Hilliard, the reason I ask is because city council likes to ask, and I say this in front of a former council member, as a former council member, and in front of another council member, they like to ask developers when they come in for rental
Sure.
property. They like to ask, well, what are you gonna charge in rent?
Do you know what the difference
So
is?
it's, no, I'm gonna finish.
Okay.
I don't know why it's fair to ask those developers what they're going to do and then not ask the same for
Okay.
individuals.
The reason I didn't is called the privacy of your tenant. I can't tell. You want their name too? I can't tell you that either.
I'm not asking for their name. So
And
what
for
I'm
the
saying-
privacy of the, you can ask a developer. He does not have to protect anybody's privacy. I do.
Sure they do.
I do. I can't tell you what my
They are
tenants
required
pay.
to protect
My
people's privacy
tenants
just
have
as
jobs.
much.
I don't
So
know
do
what
the-
they told their boss. I can't do
So
that.
do the people at the grad, so do the people at the retreat, so do the people, and the reason I'm bringing that up is that all of these people, with these brand-new builds, and you talk about your facility, your building being built in 1940, these are brand new, or these are freshly rehabbed, all single metered, all individually metered, I should say, that pay a flat fee and usage on top of that. They're not being punished. This is just the way.
So
that this
Rockford
works.
Homes,
Yes,
they're paying double.
they're not paying double.
And the reason Rockford Homes, and I was in those meetings, whether it's all the developers that came in when I was on council, they can tell you everything because they're not giving out anybody's privacy. Hopefully I made that clear. Am I right there, Mr. Lawyer?
What? The anyone's privacy? We
If
don't
I
know
said-
your tenants' names.
Rob Boren rents off of me. Rob Boren pays $1,000 a month rent. I'll bet we'd find a lawyer that said, you shouldn't have did that. Right?
Why?
Well, because you can find a lawyer to fight anything.
Well, yes, but I mean, but
I
there
knew
is
you'd ask,
no
that's why I put it
statute.
that way.
Okay, Mike, so your question on Rockford, what they have is a master meter.
I
They
understand.
have one water meter, and then as they open, that's up to Aaron and his staff to turn the units on. So they are billed per unit.
Rockford Homes is also their own contained apartments. They take care of their own streets, correct? The city of Mount
Hang on,
Vernon,
Let's correct this. So
I don't
utility
care.
money does not go to maintain streets unless they dig a hole in the street and they fix it. So let's not segregate that. They're being billed on a master water meter, and that is, so depending on how many people live, how many units there are, as those units are opened and put in service, they're getting more units added to the bill. The same for Eastern Star. Some of those complexes are master metered, some are individually metered. So,
Back to
as
my
they become-
situation. John, did you have a question?
No, not right now.
Ms. Busenberg, can I answer anything for you? Aaron? So what do we do?
Well, Mike, let me say something. So part of this is the basic philosophy of billing. So if we give you a discount, there's what these nice people have done is they figured out the cost to operate the utility. So there is a cost to operate the utility, and then there's a whole bunch of math that Tanner's hired some really smart people to do these equations and math to determine what it costs to run the utility. They looked at the forecasting of what is it going to cost to run the utility next year. And then that has to be divided amongst the users. So the philosophy of how it is divided amongst the users has been established by City Council and the rules and regulations of this commission. So the only way to change it is to say, let's reevaluate how we fairly divide that cost among everyone. So if we gave these 54% a different bill, then we would have to divide that somehow amongst everyone else.
You don't have to bill them different. You have to bill them for the water they use.
So if we did that,
That meter trickles and spins and spins and spins
Okay.
and says they use this, bill them for that.
right, so if we took that philosophy that you're only billed,
And divide it out. Leave
Right.
the new builds different. I mean,
To build
ch-
them differently.
we changed things for years when I was on council. We didn't always, it's just, we finally said, okay, that didn't work anymore.
yeah, so there is an opportunity to, I mean, we can't do that today, right? We can't just change, you can't just vote today to change the philosophy of how we do buildings. Let's make that clear. So we could look into that. We would need to hire people to evaluate it and come up with a whole new stack.
In March, I was told you're gonna look into it. In August, I was told, come back again. So now we're gonna look into it further.
It's a step process.
Well, that's a wildly different thing than what we were just talking about. You're talking about essentially eliminating minimum billing.
No?
Yes.
I'll repeat myself. What I said is, if bill for the water going through the meter, if the minimum billing is set on, it must be above 7, charge them for the minimum billing. Whatever that number is, just charge them for that minimum.
Your minimum bill is 4 units.
No. So why did I pay a minimum on 7?
Here, give me the bill again.
That's not that bill, but I can go pull one that does. Because I had a toilet running, and I was never notified that anybody saw higher use in my rental.
Have that.
But I still only paid $115.
You had a toilet running in your rental?
I had.
Okay.
One of my units were 7 and I paid $115.
Okay. Well, that's 2 units, so it'll be 8.
Right. Well, then there you go. You've got
And there you go.
Yeah, so you get up to 8. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. So if you use.
But I've had bills at my house over a 4 and I've never been charged more than $60.
which is, you are charged a minimum bill and usage.
At my house.
Everyone is charged a minimum bill and their usage.
My point is, if I have a usage of 6 at my house at 215 East Sugar,
Right.
and the minimum's set on 4, I still charge the same. Oh, I'll pull my bills. My wife has every bill we've had for the last 10 years.
I don't know.
All right.
I can't speak to that. I know if I use, like, if my kids are playing with the hose in the yard. and
Don't
we get-
disagree with it.
I do pay more on,
And I watch your meetings. When we had the police officer come up, said his daughter played with the hose, didn't realize it for 2 days, you give him credit for his sewage. I understand all that. Where are we gonna go from here?
We are going to, and as we have talked about in the past, your particular issue is something that can be solved, or at least, I don't want to say solved, but it's something that can be addressed with a rental property registry. And that's something that this council has looked at. And
I've talked to Scott numerous times. He's gonna get a rental property registry. You want help? I can help you. I can get this thing
we'd
wrapped
love
up pretty
comment-
quick.
We would love public input on the rental
Because here's what's
property
gonna
registry.
happen. We've got landlords in the city of Mount Vernon that own 40, 50 properties.
Yep.
We'll call those too and see if they want them registered. And they're gonna say no.
It's not a matter of 2 people killing an entire idea. But we're gonna find something that's an amicable solution for both owners and tenants. That's the solution for the problem that you're talking about. And you're talking about two separate problems. You're talking about metering duplexes, which is an equitable solution for everybody. If you, Mike Hillier, at one address are paying minimum plus usage, which everybody in the city is, then there's no reason that tenants at, and I don't care if you own it or who owns it, somebody from out of town owns it. If the apartment building next door has two separate units inside one house, they should also pay minimum plus usage.
They
That's-
should. My point is this. Scott's been dealing with a slumlord on Sugar Street for months. Probably day one when he took the job. All right? Do you think that guy's going to be honest and say, hey, I got 1 meter, but it's a triplex? He ain't going to do that.
We also have the ability to figure out if folks have 1 or 2 meters
Oh, I
or
understand.
more.
But you don't have the ability to count how many people he's renting to.
No, we don't, but there's nothing like the power of people that are renting to let us know.
Not when they're in and out of jail, right, Scott?
Actually, there is a way we
Yeah.
can do it.
And I don't want to even get into that because that's frankly not the purview of
All right.
the Utilities Commission.
So when do I come back?
Well,
Here's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure this is in Knox pages. I'm going to make sure landlords start hearing this. Okay? And if that doesn't get any movement, I'll probably contact Channel 6. So I'm going to make sure the state hears this. Maybe that'll help your cause. Maybe it won't.
I think this billing is standard practice.
yeah,
It might be, but I think people.
I don't know that, the national media is going to pick up the attention of.
I didn't say
I
national.
have.
There's people who watch Channel 6 nationwide.
I'm sure, but my point is, I don't know that the banner of, I've got two units and I'm being paid 2 bills, come help me, is
No,
really gonna.
I'm being treated unfairly and have a nice rental.
Okay. Well, if that's,
Thank you for your time. I'd like the minutes of this section verbatim if I could, please. Just in case the video would go down.
I'm sorry.
I'd like the minutes of this session verbatim, please, in case the video would go down. Word for word.
The answer is that she'll provide the minutes like she does for everything else.
Word for word?
That's not what,
Make that
that's not what the statute requires. The statute requires minutes that fairly describe what happened. If the policy of the commission is to do verbatim, she'll do that. She'll do it whatever way
So-
the commission has.
So-
as the chair, that's not the policy. We do not
As a public
provide.
records request,
Nope.
I'd like to have
We
word
don't
for word.
maintain, you
But
can't.
we do not create records. We will give you the minutes as that, and if there is a recording, we can provide that.
Mr.
But
Hillier,
we
this
can't
will be
create a
posted on
record.
YouTube.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't, the system's such a mess. I couldn't go back and find the meeting from March.
If YouTube goes down, then I apologize.
That's
but-
why I'd like to have it in writing, word for word.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, moving on to our next meeting. All right, moving on to the Stormwater Management Plan Guidance Manual. Mr. Platt?
Thank you. So this is something we talked about in the Services Committee meeting. Essentially what we have is, for a long time, we didn't do a lot of stormwater reviews because we didn't have a lot of new developments. And then recently, as you all know from through other means, that we have a lot of new developments coming in. We have to do a lot of stormwater review. And what we found in doing a lot of those back-to-back is that a lot of the stormwater plans are making a lot of the same mistakes. And by that, not necessarily things that are wrong written in a code. We can't always point to a city code, or we can't necessarily point to the state general permit and say, this is wrong because of such and such section of the code or the permit, but based on general practice. So we've been working with Dr. Jay Dorsey, who formerly taught at Ohio State, still does some research with Ohio State, and has been a water resources expert in the state for a long time, helped develop the Rainwater and Land Development Manual for Ohio, which was formerly with Ohio DNR and now belongs to the Ohio EPA. He also has worked closely with the Ohio EPA to develop several compliance spreadsheets and basically, he's one of the local experts on stormwater. And he's helped us to develop this guidance manual, basically just to make sure that we're getting consistently the same types of reports from developers. We're getting the information that we need to be able to review it. It saves us a lot of time when they give us all the right information in the right format versus us having to go back and kind of dig through and then put it in a format that's digestible. And then it also kind of guarantees that we're all looking at it the same way. One example I can point to is if you look at the next to last page there's this neat little graphic that we put describing the difference between directly connected and unconnected impervious areas. This is a really, really big sticking point for a lot of developers, and it makes a huge difference in the way that you model. And the best way I can explain this is think about downspouts, right? In a lot of the older neighborhoods, downspouts go directly onto the ground, and the only way the water from the roof makes it out into the streets and into the storm sewers is it has to flow over their yard, across the sidewalk, and into the street to get there. So it takes a lot longer for that to get there. That's what we would call a unconnected impervious surface. So it's not directly connected to the storm system. Now in the newer developments, the downspouts are directly connected to the storm system most of the time. So they actually run a pipe from the downspout directly into the sewer. So how long does it take that water to go from the roof into the sewer? It's almost instantaneous, right? And that really affects the way that you model things. And when they're modeling it often as unconnected impervious surface, so they're basically saying this whole area is one thing acting together. With the yard, it actually makes it look like their development's doing a lot better than it really is. So this is one of the big sticking points that we have to kind of fight with every time. And this is something that's mentioned in the permit, and it's mentioned in modeling guidance in the TR55 method from the NRCS. However, there's not really a graphic like this or a really detailed explanation explaining why we have to model it that way. So if there's anything in here in particular you'd like me to talk about, I'd be happy to. I would say that, you know, as we're doing more and more reviews, I would expect us to probably find other things we'd like to add to this guidance document. So probably over the next couple of years, you might see my face again, coming say, hey, we want to add this section or revise this to make this a little more clear. Basically just making sure that all of our developers are consistently giving us the same type of report and modeling things the same way.
Yeah, so the overall proposal here is this become a formal attached appendix to the stormwater rules and regulations so that it can be on the website. We kind of go over this with developers, but occasionally we'll have a developer show up and drop a permit without asking for a pre-permit meeting, and you know, then they've made some broad brush assumptions, and then, you know, like, well, we did it the same way X city does it. I'm like, well, yeah, but they don't have like trained reviewers, and we do. And so we end up, you know, sometimes it's very frustrating to the developers that there isn't a clear like step, here's the process. And a lot of times it's frustrating to us because occasionally a developer drops a permit and expects to have it approved in a couple days, like we've had with some of the water permits, and then they start calling the mayor after those 2 days have lapsed, and we have not even had a chance to unpack the plans and look at them.
That
So
sounded very specific.
that was very specific. Sometimes they're willing to give us the period of review, but then they end up, we've had really good consultants end up having to go through the submittal process 2 or 3 times because, you know, especially we have a lot of developments right now on top of the hill where you have water leaving in 3 different watersheds. And that's not easy for anybody to model. So this helps, I think, a lot. So our proposal is that we attach this to the stormwater rules and regulations. That requires for that particular set of rules and regulations, we establish a 28-day public comment period. So.
Will that public comment period be for the Utilities Commission or for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know. I mean, I could make a motion that we plan to add this to the stormwater rules and regulations and open the public comment period.
Yeah, the public comment period for the stormwater rules is actually in the stormwater ordinance when we wrote it that way. so that when we make changes like this, it would automatically go out for public. It'll be published on the city's website, and then after 28 days, they have 28 days to do it from today's date, so that the
Like
next
28 days.
Because sometimes the meetings are,
That's 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
the meetings aren't 30 days apart in every situation.
So that way that the commission can then move on it at the next meeting, rather than having to wait until essentially another one.
Burley came up with that number, just in case.
If you go from February to March, it'll be exactly 28 days apart.
All right.
Yeah, that,
I
yes.
can tell an engineer really thought that one. Yeah, okay.
I think Elizabeth Doolittle and Kate
Yeah.
Burley were
Yeah.
the citizen members
Yeah.
who calculated that for us.
So, okay. Interesting. That would require some coordination that the utility commission has never, to my knowledge, when's the last time the utilities commission has had a public hearing?
Well,
No, no, it's not a public hearing.
Or a public, no, not a public hearing, but a public comment period.
The last time we updated the stormwater rules.
Probably 18 months ago, maybe about that. So, you know, what we'll do is we'll just publish it, and we'll accept either written submissions, or people can come to the next meeting and
We have an
comment on it.
email that is just PC, public comments at, and so
Okay.
what we can do
And
is
then-
we can publish a cover letter saying that this is open for public comment, like a little public notice, open for public comment. This
Yep.
is where you send,
Comment?
and then we can, if you want to have the billing office receive those, or we can have those directed to Quentin's voicemail, however we can do
Probably
that.
not the billing office, we'll have it, it's more, it falls under engineering.
Yep.
The-
So, yeah, and then at the next meeting, we can, any written submissions that we get can be attached to the agenda, and if we could either summarize, or we can provide the actual voicemails if we get any of them, and then go from there.
Okay. Commission members, do you have any questions about that? We can go down the row here.
Seems pretty straightforward to me.
Is this in the final version of what you wanted at this point?
Yes.
And then down
Yeah.
the road, you might.
Don't get me
add
wrong,
to
I've
it?
already got a million ideas of things we could add, but you know, it takes a while to
Yeah.
really flesh it out and how do I want to say that. So
I told him to put his pencil down.
I'll give you at least a couple months before I come back.
But yeah, this part has been vetted through multiple people. If we come up with new ideas, we need to start that.
Yep, go
vetting
through the process again.
Yeah, it looks like it'll give you the consistency kind of across the board.
Yeah, and hopefully, as Brian said, reduce the number of reviews we have to do. The applicants have to pay per review when it comes to stormwater, unlike other utility applications. And with a large development, that can get pretty expensive because they pay, it's either a percentage of the cost of the stormwater infrastructure or flat cost per acre disturbed. So you can look at several $1,000s per review potentially.
So, with that comment in mind, I know this is adjacent to that. Who sets the fee structure for the other reviews?
The engineering department makes a recommendation to the controlling board, and the controlling board adopts the fees.
Should make a recommendation to the controlling board about that.
Well, we have recently updated
Yeah.
those.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we've been moved, as sort of a general thing in the city, we've been moving from council adopting a fee and then
Sure.
10 years later, maybe changing it to allowing the departments to make the recommendation.
So, for the sake of the public record here, the reason I say that is oftentimes we have developers that, as Mr. Platt mentioned and Mr. Ball mentioned, you know, we have highly trained professional staff that would otherwise, you know, a developer might have to pay a significant amount of money to have somebody review these proposals before they submit. And oftentimes they are, well, this is not a slam, but not complete when they are submitted to the city. And these rough drafts take time for our staff to go through. And they're basically letting us do their work for them. And we feel that a good fee on, not a ridiculous fee, but letting some folks have some skin in the game before they submit these things is a good way to keep people from submitting unfinished work. And that would protect not only the integrity of the work that they're submitting, but also the time of our staff, because that is valuable too. So that's just a side note on top of all these other things, because we value not only the finished product, but also the time that our staff has, both in the utility and in the engineering department. So
We've been consistently doing kind of a pre-review for a lot of stormwater projects, where basically we go through and just look for these sorts of things, and we don't charge it. We include it in the first review, so we don't charge them specifically for that, but that could even take a couple hours of our time just to go through and say, hey, it looks like you weren't doing this correctly. So we're not fully evaluating their plan, but we're just kind of saying, look, take it back. Here's some suggestions on things you need to change, and then give it back to us.
I always like to add context to things. You know, folks come in and say, well, I emailed you about this, or I called you about this, or it's been months. What's taken so long? It's, you know, I must stress that we're not sitting in here just hanging out. You know, we work with developers and attorneys and vendors and on projects, and and that's just the day-to-day part of the job. Folks come in, and then, you know, what you think your day's going to look like, somebody comes in and says, oh, this wild thing happened, all hands on deck. So I deeply appreciate the tenacity of the staff to, you know, do the things that, you know, I think there's been decades of kind of deferred maintenance on a lot of things, and we've really done a lot of good work. And this is another one of those things that if we put that out there, that gives, you know, kind of a guiding light to people that are coming in. That way, you know, they know where to go. And like Mr. Ball mentioned, is they're not just looking at, you know, insert random town that maybe has, you know, one little pond somewhere. Stormwater. There you go.
Having formerly been in consulting, every time we did a project, we always looked for guidance documents, and we lived by those.
Yeah.
So,
Good work. And if nobody else has anything, I'll entertain a motion to accept this and open that 28-day public comment period.
Great. Well, I'll make that motion.
I can second the motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk can call the roll.
Mr. Sires,
Yes.
Mr. Ball,
Yes.
Mr. Reinhardt,
Yes?
Ms. Busenberg.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Move on to old business. Mr. Brorin, do you have an update on backflow/fog legislation?
We are about 95% complete. I would ask Mr. Ball if I could borrow a bit of time from Mr. Platt to help me check the,
See what I mean?
the
Make sure to assess his office fees for that.
For a small fee. Yeah.
to cross-check the sites, but I anticipate next week that I will be able to distribute it to the members of the commission so that it can be fully reviewed at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
And then we bring that to the new city council.
Yeah, we'll bring that to utilities in January, and then we'll look at launching in February. Okay. And that I look at Mr. Zimmerman back there to prepare for February for council. Okay?
Yep. Yeah, you are authorized to use Mr. Platt for
Godspeed, Mr. Platt.
no additional fees. No double fees, no single fees.
That's it. All right, well, if there is nothing else to come before the committee today, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Great.
Hang out.
On the water modeling, we've gotten, Zane's gotten, I think we
9:15.
got everything out.
So I'm thinking
to
about actually
our
bringing a gavel in
modeling
for
guy.
everybody, because
So-
I have a collection, yeah. You're like, here, guys.
Musical gavel.
Bruce shouldn't be the only one who feels special.
Operation report. Didn't think